All right, thank you very much. Thank you to Marine Money for that wonderful welcome. We're really glad to be here in my favorite island, one of my favorite islands in the whole world, Manhattan. We have a great discussion about strategies for decarbonization and strategies for making decarbonization profitable. And that's our topic. The organizers have given us 30 minutes to do so, so you have to listen closely, and you guys have to talk fast. So first, I just wanted to introduce the panel and just let you all have a word as to who you are and what you do. Anastassia?
Is this working? Yeah.
Yep.
Anastassia Tcherneva, head of shipping at ABN AMRO Bank, Northwest European Bank, with a very, very long history in shipping.
Udo?
So my name is Engebret. I'm the CEO of Klaveness combination carriers. So we own a fleet of combination carriers that are both tankers and dry bulk vessels. Decarb is a centerpiece of our strategy, and we'll come back to it. We believe, if done right, it's no conflict between profitability and delivering large emission reductions.
Yeah, my name is Udo Lange. I'm the group CEO of Stolt-Nielsen. I have 25 years background in logistics with DHL, FedEx, or Schenker, and joined as the first non-family CEO after 64 years in September. And our business is really we're the leading liquid logistics providers. We have more than 160 chemical tankers, 14 terminals, and 50,000 tank containers, really driving the end-to-end supply chain solutions for our customers. And I'm super excited. Last week we had our Capital Markets Day in London, and we launched our Simply the Best strategy, being simply the best for our shareholders, customers, and people, with, of course, a strong focus on sustainability.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Donahue. I work for Lloyd's Register, Marine Classification Society and compliance provider, as most of you probably know. We also have a number of digital solutions, including the recent purchase of One Ocean. But really, I'm here today representing the advisory arm of Lloyd's, which includes both business advisory and technical advisory components. So I lead the advisory business here in the Americas.
So as you see, we have principal stakeholders. We've got a couple of ship owner operators. We have a capital provider, and we have a class society. So I guess the first question in looking and seeing what is it that we do, what is your decarbonization strategy, and how do you ensure that it's profitable? Let's just cut to the chase. Engebret.
I think our decarbonization strategy is to deliver shipping solutions that are far more efficient, smarter, and lower carbon footprint. If you put things in the context, if you look on the dry bulk and the tanker shipping industry today, there's so much inefficiency, so much waste. And standard ships are sailing long distances without any cargo on board, maybe as long without cargo on board as they have cargo on board, which is really a great potential to make things more efficient. So our ships deliver a much lower carbon footprint just by being more efficient, by being able to transport the cargoes that the standard tankers and dry bulk ships do and combine them, and basically sailing with cargoes when the standard ships are sailing empty. And just by that fact, we are reducing the carbon footprint by 30 to 40%. And then we are investing large funds in energy efficiency measures across our fleet, probably more than most ship owners, in order to bring that down further by 15 to 20%. And then you can ask, how do we make it profitable? And I think on the combination trading and our concept, it's really a win-win between profitability and emission reductions. The more efficient you are, the more cargo you transport, the less waiting time, the less empty time, the higher profitability and the lower carbon footprint. And when it comes to energy efficiency measures, we of course have to select the ones that give us the shortest payback. But if done correctly, you get paid back through your fuel cost savings. And of course, the higher the fuel cost, the shorter the payback. And we really believe that fuel cost for the shipping industry will increase going forward, hence making the investments we do profitable. So that's basically our strategy, and then we work on all other things as well, including how can we get a better contract format with our customers, where you get the link between emission performance and the freight payments. But I don't have time to talk about that, so I can possibly come back to that at a later stage.
Let's continue looking at the owner-operator focus. And so, Udo, I know you own ships, you charter out ships as well. How do you do it?
Well, first of all, of course, this is a critical problem for the whole world. So our strong belief is, on the one hand, you need to approach this as a company in a multifaceted approach, but on the other hand, you need to look and really have it an industry-wide solution and collaboration as well. Our sustainability strategy is 5-pronged. So let me quickly walk through you the 5 prongs. Number one, as a leading logistics providers, we of course enable the global energy transition. So if you think about it, our assets are, if I go back in the last 5 years, we transport and store significantly more renewables and new energy than before. So give you examples. So our customer raisin out of Brazil, you have sugar cones, and now you have massive ethanol production. So we are growing together with them the business. Neste is one of our core customers. So we have used cooking oil in Tianjin, and with that, they distribute all over Asia. We are just in the final rounds of an ammonia terminal in Brazil. So it just shows you we are critical in enabling the energy transition. Then second, innovation. So we really need to do innovations in our business, and we have been very successful. From 2008 to now, we reduced the carbon intensity by 30.16% in our tanker business. How have we been doing that? It's really through more fuel efficiency, hull construction, graphene coating, biofuel usage. And in our businesses, we have tank containers and tankers are EcoVadis Silver, and our terminal business, EcoVadis Silver, and the tank container business is Gold. So now, going forward, what we do is we just order 12 new builds, and these have shore power capability, these have methanol readiness, these have new constructions on the hull, and just if you compare that new build to the last new build, 40% more fuel efficient. Third prong, digitalization. So in digitalization, on the one hand, you drive efficiency in the business, you have sensors on the ships, but you also deliver more value through load optimizations. Second, you provide digital insight to our customers. So for example, if you go into our tank container business, you have a sustainability insight platform, so the customer knows exactly what is the carbon footprint that they have on each shipment, and then you can optimize that. And finally, we actually deploying a sustainability stack as part of our digitalization strategy across all our business. Fourth, regulatory. So you cannot be a victim of regulatory. You need to work with regulatory and shape and influence. So we just talked about CII. CII in the form wouldn't make any sense for a chemical tanker business where you have in parcel tankers 40% of the time in ports. Actually, you get a lower rating for the ships who are longer in port. So of course that doesn't make any sense. So we work with the regulators on really how to go through this. On EU ETS, of course, we're always compliant, but we use this opportunity to now identify with customers which are maybe trades or routes where it makes sense to use biofuel. And then finally, green financing. So there's really another angle, so I'm really proud. Our team in Asia just won the Green Financing Deal of the Year award for the 280 million financing of our terminal in Singapore. So I think it shows you it's not a problem that you solve from one angle. You have a multi-pronged strategy, but you also link in with other industry partners.
Thanks. So Anastassia, what from ABN AMRO's point of view, what is the decarbonization strategy and how do you help the industry achieve it?
Yeah, so I like
make
how
it
you
profitable.
I like how you put it, Joey. So what's the decarbonization strategy of the industry? Because ABN AMRO, being a bank, we are an intermediary. We basically provide capital to shipping companies. So it's not really our transition; it's the transition of our clients that we really would like to enhance. So I heard quite a lot of things that I aspire to. I'll mention some of them. So it's very much data. So what we've done, we've built a climate dashboard at ABN AMRO. It's based on historic data. We very much look at decarbonization solutions at the payback time. And that basically enables us to have intelligent conversations with our clients and see what solutions make sense and how can they best be put into practice and how can we capitalize on them. And there for us it's very important that we actually make the data more actual, so not so much historic, and also with the help of AI and predictive models make the best use of it. EU ETS is a topic for many ship owners, so there we are really trying to cut the trading time. I mean, at current, that's not per se a high urgency, but I do believe that the time will come and we want to be ready. So very good usage of data, client dialogue as well. If we look at our portfolio, I mean, shipping is not an easy to abide industry. There is no, I mean, green is, has multiple facets and definitions. But we've had some quite good client engagements. We financed methanol carriers. We were the sustainability agent of a very large syndicate last year. So we do see that there's quite a lot of interest. The benefits are not always there, but I'm a firm believer that it's good to be prepared when the time comes.
Laura, so how does Lloyd's help shipping on its decarbonization journey? Those are your words, which you said when we were discussing this. I'm really fascinated. It's a wonderful concept, the decarbonization journey of shipping.
Yes, thanks. Certainly, since Lloyd's is not an owner or operator, our strategy has really been more around building our own business to support the industry as a whole. And so that's why a few years ago we really ramped up our business advisory group led by James Frew, who I'm sure many of you know, to be able to ensure that we can provide appropriate advice to our clients looking at, again, that decarbonization journey. It's no longer just around that technical solution, but understanding that full financial impact of those technologies as well. So it's certainly a far more complex scenario than it's been in the past. I've been really happy to hear so much in the morning session so far around energy efficiency, because my observation has been that too often decarbonization has been focused, or the decarbonization conversation's been focused on alternative fuels. And energy-saving devices or energy efficiency technologies are there. They're available for use now and are certainly part of a profitable strategy. Certainly, we've been involved in a lot of studies looking at assessing various technologies for very specific operations. Class societies are technology agnostic, so it gives us a unique position kind of to do that third-party verification. And there are a lot of energy-saving technologies that are in use right now. I think, although I believe the figure is that only 18% of the fleet currently have at least one energy-saving device installed. So there's a huge potential there to really gain further efficiencies. Technologies range from, some more common methods for optimized fluid flow around propellers or improved propeller efficiencies. Certainly a range of hull technologies, air lubrication systems, high slip coatings. We're also seeing some newer technologies hit the field, wind-assisted propulsion. is of particular interest. I think it's really interesting working for Lloyd's Register, 260-year-old class society. Way back when we started, it was around, looking at condition assessments of sailing vessels, and here we are in 2024 talking about wind-assisted propulsion again. Rotor sails, suction sails, rigid sails. I think we're up to about 100 installations or planned installations by the end of the year. So those technologies are certainly coming up. I'd like to just note to everyone, though, when they're looking at some of these energy-saving devices, those vendor specs that are coming up, perhaps even looking to employ more than one different technology. Technology savings are not necessarily cumulative. You can't assume, there are cases certainly where one technology might affect the efficiency of another. And also, especially in the case of wind propulsion, wind efficiencies are very dependent on the vessel, the technology, and the route that that vessel is taking. So it's very key to understand the interplay between those three factors because they'll radically influence the efficiencies to be gained from those technologies. And probably at time I could have a whole discussion around what we're doing around nuclear as well, but I should probably send it back to you.
Well, we've got about 13 minutes of our 30 left. So just maybe looking then at some particular examples of things that you're most proud of in achieving decarbonization, and maybe you can give us some examples of those, Engebret?
Thank you. I think I could have used at least an hour to explain because we have a lot to be proud of. And of course, it's quite important that it is a very difficult transition and you need to use time on it. You need to measure and improve data from the ships to know the effects of all the different initiatives you have. And of course, that is what with the good help of class societies, we can reach there. But I think we have invested a lot in energy efficiency measures. And there's a lot of successes. We've been innovator in some of them. And in the totality, it's been a great success. But I would like to mention what we have done, which gives the real big impact by just introducing a new type of fleet, or clean move fleet, that actually, which is both an LR1 tanker and a dry bulk ship, into the very skeptical and conservative oil industry. This business is now hugely successful, widely accepted, and gives, again, like I told you, 30 to 40% lower emission per ton transported compared to the standard ships that the oil companies can use. But of course, it hasn't been that way from the start. It's been a very tough process to convince the oil companies to use us. When we contracted the ships, most brokers thought we were crazy, and none of the oil companies were willing to confirm they would use us. But again, we have introduced a solution that is now widely accepted and gives instant large emission reductions overnight. Just by replacing a standard tanker by our ships, our customer can again reduce emissions by 30 to 40%. So I think that's really something that I'm immensely proud of, what we as a team has managed to introduce. And we aim at introducing more new type of more efficient solutions to the industry going forward, because there's so much waste, so much inefficiencies in this industry, and industry really need to step up to deliver emission reductions that we don't see today, to be honest.
Udo?
Yeah, so on our side, I think I'm really excited about our team, and we are fully focused on the one hand, of course, a fleet renewal, as I talked about before. So we order ships, and they are methanol ready, they have shore power, they have more energy efficient design. But then at the same time, you also need to improve, of course, your existing fleet. And there I'm really excited about our venture capital fund. So we have a venture capital fund which looks at particular sustainability investments and digital-driven investments. And so we look at startup companies where we feel we as a logistics company can add value to their portfolio. And so we found this graphene coating company, GIT. And so what does graphene coating do? It's basically delivering 3 effects. So it's an ultra-low surface, and that, of course, reduces the drag, and that produces more energy efficiency. In addition to that, you have less noise, and that's actually good for marine life. And then finally, it's environmental friendly. So you don't have bioseeds, you don't have toxic things going into the ocean. So now we're like, okay, that's exciting. It delivers 5 to 7% cost reduction. So then we say, okay, now we can help that company to scale. So we were the first player in the industry who applied graphene coating. And we are now, have this already applied to 36 propellers. And by the end of the year, we'll scale this to 54. And in addition, we try it right now on a hull as well. But even more exciting, we scale this for the industry, because now we have proven to the industry that this really makes sense. And so we have several ship owners coming to us and say, we are interested in this technology. This can work as well for us. So, of course, if anybody is out there who is interested in, to learn more about it, just ping me, and happy to connect you with our experts. But that's just another example, driving innovation, but making it big for the whole industry.
So, so the driving of the innovation is really, I guess, what you're saying is dependent upon collaboration and transparency in what it is that you're doing, and then taking advantage and optimizing what's available. And Laura, are there other strategies and technologies that you want to mention?
Yeah, first I'd just like to shout out here, it was really interesting when we were preparing for this panel and talking about some of our success stories that Udo and I actually selected exactly the same technology, same provider, because GIT, that graphene coating provider, is actually based in Halifax, Nova Scotia, where I'm also from. And my team in Halifax was actually one of the first to engage with that company. And at the time, they were just a small startup looking to get into the maritime space. So again, through our advisory services, we were able to do some third-party verification work and really help nurture that company through in some of their early testing and got them to the point where they gained interest from the broader group and companies like Stolt. So really a great success story there.
Well, the successes of our clients are our successes. I'm particularly proud that this year ABN AMRO won 5 Marine Money Awards. We didn't do this by ourselves. These are, the deals of our clients. We've done that with many peers. But what I'm really proud of is that there's a lot of traction when it comes to how do you prepare for decarbonization? How do you set your structure? How do you set your operations? And then translate it into a financing solution. So I'm really proud that with some of our clients, we've worked into putting capital for retrofitting vessels.
Good. So in looking at sort of the immediate term, the near term and immediate term, what can be done? We mentioned optimization and the need for communication, collaboration. And is retrofitting a part of that? And I know, Engebret, I know your company has spent about $14 million you've reported in retrofitting some of your existing vessels, and you have projected in your reports another 20 million or so to come. Is that a viable alternative?
I think so, but you have to be quite careful what you invest in, because you have to ensure, at least for us, we have to ensure we get the payback through the fuel savings, maybe with an optimistic view on the fuel cost going forward. But again, I believe there are large potential, which of course you have the low-hanging fruits, which is everything from paint to some ducts that are fairly cost efficient. And we have done large investments in what we call air lubrication system, retrofit. We have retrofitted shaft generators. We are looking at the wind propulsion. That's probably will be done on new builds. So that's a large potential, and there's a large number of initiatives that are there. You have to be you have to know what you do, you have to measure it, and you probably have to make it stepwise, like we do, to test it out on one ship, and if it works, you expand it to the fleet. Because it's easily, you can burn a lot of money on this if you are not really careful.
Udo, any retrofitting in your fleet?
Yeah, very similar.
How big is your fleet, by the way, comparatively?
So we have more than 160 ships. So deep sea, regional, and then barging as well.
Yeah.
So that gives us the end-to-end supply chain capabilities. So to just take the graphene coating, so we have a standard procedures now. When the ship comes into dry dock, automatically it gets retrofitted there. So exactly what you said is, well, where's the return on investment? And that one is pretty easy. So we look at that. But I think it's equally important for new builds as well, because you just don't know yet which energy will come through. But you need to be ready to a certain extent. And if we just take our last new build orders, if we had gotten already and built really true dual fuel capability, the ships would have been crazy expensive. But the dual fuel readiness with methanol was actually pretty reasonable, and the retrofitting cost later on is also very reasonable. So I think it's also engineering now for what could happen in the future.
So Anastassia, is there capital available for retrofitting and other green measures? Is there green financing? Is that a real thing?
Well, yeah, so as I said, green financing is a container concept. There is capital available. I think at this moment of time it's not per se needed. But once, technologies scale up, also when there are significant fleets involved, then I definitely think that the demand will pick up again. And then if you look at us being a provider of capital, decarbonization is becoming an increasingly important lens for when we allocate resources.
So how can all of the stakeholders share in the cost of this? It seems that the cost is sort of front-ended onto the ship owner. How does that get shared among the rest of the stakeholders? Are there sustainability-linked COAs, time charters? What's the strategy there?
I think it's much easier if you are like we are, an operator, where you get the fuel benefits of what you do. And again, we reach out to our customers, trying to get them, as mentioned, to where we can link the freight earnings to the emission performance, because then actually you create some sort of a carbon pricing into your contracts. And that's what we hope we can expand on. But I think the whole structure in industry, when it comes to the way the ship owners confront charterers on time charter and how they share the what we call the emission benefit and fuel cost benefit of energy efficiency measures, there's something totally wrong in the way the industry works together, because they are not able to achieve a cooperation. There's always this, who takes the benefit, and it ends up that the benefit for the ship owner is too small to do the big initiatives that is possible. So we can't operate with charter parties from 1912 anymore. We need to redefine and to improve them. And I think it's a lot to be done.
Can I add something to it? So I think, the upcoming checkpoints on decarbonization, I think that will be quite helpful. And yeah, unfortunately, it will be regulatory driven, but I do think that would increase cooperation, because then it's just needed. So I fully subscribe to what you just explained. And I do think that, there will be an acceleration after 2026, so towards 2030. I think that we will see some movement there.
Yeah, I think on our side, if I just take EU ETS, so we have a full pass-through with our customers. But what is more important is that we really sit together with the customers and talk about, well, how can we optimize the supply chain? Where does biofuel maybe make sense? So really look again, bigger than just your company, the whole industry, and how can you make this work?
Lara?
Yeah, and just to echo what my panelists have said, really understanding and refining that charterer relationship and those agreements is going to be really key to being successful in decarbonization. Not all of our decarbonization strategies are hardware-based. We need to sort out the paperwork.
So do the strategies differ? You mentioned according to routes and so on. Is it a different approach for blue water international trade as opposed to coastal, brown water, intra-country trade?
Well, of course, at the end, regulatory plays a key role. So if I have my European fleet and then I have my barging fleet, of course I fall 100% under the European regulation.
Yep.
If I have my deep sea fleet, I'm getting in and out of Europe. So I just need to look at that differently and then have different strategies for that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the U.S. is a huge market. You know, one third of shipping emissions are coastal. And so, of course, you know, for U.S. vessels, the IMO doesn't apply. So that's a huge decarbonization goal that needs to be met through organizations such as Blue Sky Maritime Coalition, which are focused on that. But there, the regulatory aspect is different. The regulatory approaches are different. One question that arises, too, is just the practical economics of it. The International Energy Agency, the IEA, recently forecast that there is currently a world glut in oil supply, that by 2030 there's going to be something on the order of an 8 million barrel a day oversupply of oil. Is that going to impact decarbonization, the approaches, and I guess the timeline?
I think the industry needs a higher cost of fuel, including carbon taxes, the effect of mandatory blending, and everything that reduces the fuel cost reduces the incentives to decarbonize. So I think isolated, it would be negative if, in fact, the oil price would fall as a consequence of what you described. But of course, all the other effects coming from new regulations will work in the opposite direction. And it's highly needed, as Carrie was saying before, we will not achieve to do the transition to new fuels without a regulatory framework which will increase the cost of fuel. I think that's pretty certain, and I fully support that.
Yeah, I think if I just look at Europe, even if the oil price goes down, well, the regulations are so strong, you're not incentivized to now suddenly go faster and burn a lot of fuels. That would be really bad economically. So I think it, again, depends, of course, where you are in the world, yeah.
Yep, totally agree with what's been said already.
Anastassia, last word.
I mean, it's a huge market, right? It's a global market. What's quite fascinating about shipping is that we have one global regulator, so I'm talking deep sea, right? And that's IMO. And I think that can create a lot of transparency and economies of scale. So that will be the upside of increasing regulations and uncertainties. You know, still it's quite centralized in a way, and that's quite unique compared to other sectors.
So I think that's about it. I think the high points were collaboration, transparency, and innovation. Thanks.